So, it's almost been a year since the iPhone 14 Pro has been out, and I have to say it's changed quite a lot. So, today we're going to be looking at the pros and cons as well as how it has changed over the past year. Leading up to the Apple event, should you buy the iPhone 15 Pro or should you get the iPhone 14, which is almost a year old? Let's dive into it. So, starting off with the durability, I have to say this phone is very durable in my opinion. I've never actually touched the screen of this phone since I've had it. I know it does weigh a bit as well, but it's still really good, especially for the price point. Look, I've dropped this phone a few times and I'm surprised to say that it's barely had a scratch or a dent or anything to that effect. And it's just been so durable over the course of the year that I have to say that this phone has to be one of the most durable iPhones that I have ever used, as well as the camera. Like when I first started using this phone, I was very scared about the camera. I thought I was gonna crack it because of how big it was. But then over time, I just got a case and it solved all my issues because I've dropped it, I've tested it out in water as well, and it's been strong and solid ever since. And it's something that you would expect from a phone like this, especially for the value that you're supposed to be getting from this phone, because it is a quite expensive phone. So you should expect it to be able to handle all drops and all that kind of stuff that happens in the daily life. Just get a cover and a privacy screen or the normal screen protector and you should be good. So what about the display? How has the display changed over the past year? While this 6.1 Liquid Retina XDR display has been really good, especially in bright conditions, when it peaks up to 2000 nits. Those 2000 nits, you can definitely notice them in sunny conditions. Those are my favorite things about this phone because it doesn't auto dim as much as you would get in the iPhone 13. You can also increase the brightness by just going to accessibilities, display, and then you'll be able to turn on auto brightness, which will enable you to extract more from the screen. Also, I have to say the screen is very good, especially for streaming in 4K video on YouTube. I really love this phone. This is where the value I get from this phone really comes out, because you get to stream a video in high quality ProRes or ProRAW or from this phone, especially with the 120 Hz refresh rate. The 120 Hz, like I always say, once you go 120, you never want to go to 60. And that's because you definitely do notice the difference if you step down from 120 to 60. So a lot of people made fun about the dynamic island when it first came out, but I was a key activist in the dynamic island from the jump. I saw it as an opportunity to increase productivity in ways that we've never done before. I always saw it as Apple introducing something that would take our productivity to the next level, and that's all it's done ever since. Look, I'll be honest, the always on display was not great when it first came out, but now with iOS 17, it's only gotten better. And the reason why I say this is because now it enables you to do more from a productivity standpoint. You get to do more with your phone that you never thought was possible, such as tracking your Uber rides, tracking your orders, as well as just making sure that you can see what you're doing, as well as your clock. You can enable it to show your timers so that you never lose track of what is going on. And one of the things that I personally love about the dynamic island is the music feature. The music feature allows you to skip tracks, pause and play, and I really love the way that it's changed since iOS 16 and now iOS 17, and I can only hope that it gets so much better in the future. So how has this performance changed over the past year? I have to say it's been pretty consistent, especially with multitasking. Multitasking has enabled me to use this phone quite seamlessly, especially when gaming, because I've never had really problems with lag with the A16 Bionic chip, so I have to give it props to that. And with the phone like this, like, you always expect something to crash because things do crash and apps do close occasionally, but on very few occasions I've had problems where the app just randomly closes or does anything like that, especially with calls. I've never really had those types of issues over the past year, maybe once or twice, but it's expected to have these issues once in a while. But if they're happening frequently, then you have a problem. So how's the camera been over the past year? I have to say the 48 megapixels has been amazing on the main camera. It has been my favorite feature to have on this camera, to say. Although that the photos do take a lot more storage when you do take photos in ProRAW, it has a better representation of the colors of the picture that you're taking. Regardless of what picture you're taking, it's still gonna take a large amount of storage, especially with photos. I don't know who's gonna be doing that with every single photo, but when you do shoot in RAW, just always keep in mind your storage is a big factor when you do shoot in RAW. And not only with the 48 megapixel camera, I have been having a problem with macro mode though. It does require you to move a lot away from the phone, which I found to be problematic for me because I've just ended up disabling macro mode because it doesn't represent the pictures in the way that I would like. And also the autofocus sometimes is just a bit off, but the thing about it with the autofocus is that on the video it's not as bad, especially with the 4K 60 which I normally shoot. I've never really had problems with autofocus or auto exposure with the video, but with pictures I've had this problem. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've had this problem with autofocus with the camera, especially when I'm taking photos, but not with the video. I don't know what that could be, especially with taking 4K 60, which is my favorite shooting mode when it comes to this phone. I love shooting videos in 4K 60 when I'm shooting with this phone, and it's been pretty consistent as well with shooting in 4K 60, and I have to say it's one of my favorite modes to shoot in. But like I always say, if you're shooting in 4K 60, the more storage the better. And I have to say the ultra wide camera has been really good, especially with the depth mapping on the ultra wide camera. It's been my favorite experience on this iPhone, as well as portrait mode. Portrait mode with the depth mapping on portrait mode has been really accurate and has blurred out the background with so much precision. I really love the way that portrait mode works on this phone, as well as cinematic mode. Cinematic mode is really good, especially now that we can shoot in 4K 30 on cinematic mode, which is one of the things that I really love to shoot because it blurs out the background and it focuses mainly on the subject at hand. So that's my take on the camera. The battery life, for me personally, I don't have to say much because my battery capacity is at 88% and it's not even been a year since I've had this phone. But I have to say, if a year of battery decline is that bad, you have to say that something is wrong. I don't know what it could be. Maybe it could be my daily habits, but I found that switching on optimized battery charging has really helped my battery life in my daily activities. So I highly recommend that you do also check it out and also enable it for yourself. You might be asking as well, like, what about the always on display? The always on display drops down to 1 Hz. 1 Hz is not a lot at all. And I have to say that it is really good that it drops down to 1 Hz because if it was any more, you would see significance in the battery drain. I don't think the main culprit is the always on display though. We will investigate it when we do another review on this phone or when we do the review on the iPhone 15 Pro. We will compare the two to see how the battery drain is between the two and what possible factors could it be. Could it be the heat? Could it be the way you charge your phone? Which I've also found to be a main point as well for consideration. I found that if you charge your phone over with the lightning cable and you use it at the same time, it degrades your battery a lot more. So I found that wireless charging is much better and it helps keep the battery throughout the day. I honestly recommend charging with wireless over lightning. It's just my personal preference, but also keep in mind not to use your phone while it's on the charger because that does contribute to your battery degradation. So keep that in mind as well. Always try to take care of your battery health as much as possible because it is quite expensive. How long does a single charge last you? For me personally, I charge my phone maybe 2 times a day. I know that's quite a lot, but my battery drain has been that bad. Some people might be able to go off a day with 1 charge, but I've just found that 2 charges a day is what works for me. I charge it in the morning and I charge it maybe in the afternoon, and then in the night just charge it for the next day. So 2/3 times a day, 100%, and it should be good. But I hope you guys also don't charge it as much as I do. I hope you just charge it once a day and you should be good. But let me know in the comments, how many times do you charge your phone? I would really love to know. And how much juice do you get out of that phone when you charge it for, let's say, 100% in the morning and then you spend the whole day? And what would be your battery percentage at night? Let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear. Moving on to the software and support. How has the software and support been over the past year? I have to say the software on this has been pretty decent. I've been the lucky one out of so many people that have the developer beta because I've had so many few crashes, but it also has had its downsides of things not working the way that it should. For example, the dynamic island with airdrop. For a while, it never really worked. It just stayed on, and I wondered why that is. But now, ever since I started using beta 8, I've not had that problem with the airdrop anymore. And I have to say, the support on this phone has been pretty good and decent. So, considering what beta version you're using, iOS 17 will only get better. So like I was saying, with the dynamic island, I did have that issue for some time, but now that I'm using beta 8, I've not had that issue. And with the software, like, so many new features have enabled me to do more on this iPhone, and then I hope it also enables you to do more from your iPhone, because at the end of the day, that's what you really expect from this phone, to help increase the productivity on your phone for you to do more from this iPhone. I have to say that there is an issue that I've had with this phone, and it is persistent disconnecting of the Wi-Fi. I don't know why that is, but sometimes it just disconnects from the Wi-Fi and then it struggles to reconnect, and I have to like turn it off and on just for it to connect to the Wi-Fi. I don't know if it's a problem with me, but I found this very tedious on this phone, and it's very problematic. For me personally, it's been one of the things that I've not really loved about this phone. How has the user experience been in the past year? I have to say, it's been pretty good. This phone has not given me so many problems in terms of using it on a daily basis. The only big thing that I have to say about this phone is the battery. And of course, a lot of people have complained about the battery, but I have to say that this is still one of the best phones out there on the market. It might not be the best battery, but it is still really good. From the camera to the display to the battery, it is an amazing phone. So if you do want to pick this up, I would say you just have to wait for a little bit because the iPhone 15 is coming out. So when the iPhone 15 comes out, obviously the price of this one will drop. So I'd highly recommend that you do get a second hand from the iStore pre-owned especially, or you can just get it from the iStore because it still is an amazing phone and it will still be a good phone for at least a few more years. It's not like this is a terrible phone just because it has issues. All phones have issues. That doesn't mean that you have to throw this away or disregard it as not being a good phone. No, it still is an amazing phone. It might have its problems, but it's still an amazing phone to own. So let me know what you guys think. Is this a phone that you'd want to get? What color are you looking to get when the iPhone 15 Pro comes out? Or what phone are you looking to get? Are you looking to get the iPhone 15 or are you looking to get an iPhone 14 Pro? So let me know in the comments what you think. It's been Fari, and I'll see you guys in the next one.